The San Antonio Spurs lost the NBA Finals by 12 points. Not 12 points a game, 12 points across the entire series. Think about that for a second. One extra stop here, one more bucket there, and we'd be talking about Wemby holding the trophy right now.
The San Antonio Spurs helped the New York Knicks win this game by doing some of the stupid-ass stuff I've ever seen on a basketball court.
But what happened the moment that series ended is what nobody's really talking about. Because the Spurs GM, Wright, didn't panic, didn't blow anything up, didn't go chasing some superstar who does not want to be there. He just went and fixed the exact things that made the Knicks beat him. But did he actually pull it off though? Well, let's find out. So to understand why this offseason actually matters, you have to go back to what the Knicks and OKC figured out about the Spurs team that nobody else had cracked before. Because, come on, let's be real here. San Antonio had no business losing that series.
I've seen the exact things y'all seen. We've seen a team that coulda, shoulda won, but didn't. Right.
Wembanyama was an absolute monster. Castle was locked in. The offense was doing what it was supposed to. But the moment either of those teams needed a bucket, they went straight to the same place every single time. The paint. And the reason they kept doing it is because it kept working. See, Wemby plays 29 minutes a night in the regular season. That's by design. Mitch Johnson was protecting him, managing his body, and making sure he was fresh for the moments that actually mattered. But when the finals started and the Knicks started hunting the paint every possession, Johnson had no choice but to leave him out there. And so 29 minutes became 35. 35 became 40. And if you watch those games closely, you could literally see Wemby's body changing as the series went on. The explosiveness in the first quarter was not there in the fourth. The closeouts that looked effortless in the regular season started looking just a little bit slower. And every single minute he sat on that bench was basically an open invitation for New York to attack completely uncontested. In fact, Oklahoma City figured it out first in the conference finals. The Knicks just did it better. And Wright sat there watching all of it, knowing that one specific player could have changed everything about that series. Not another star, not a trade for some big name, just someone who could hold that paint down for 3 minutes so Wemby could actually breathe.
The San Antonio Spurs select Jaden Quaintance from the University of Kentucky.
So while every other front office was playing it safe on draft night, the Spurs told the league, yeah, we see the injury history. We just don't care. Because Jaden Quaintance was never supposed to be available at pick 20. Not even close. Before his freshman year at Arizona State, this kid was being projected as a top 10 lock. And watching him play, you understood why immediately. The kid was averaging 2.6 blocks a night at 17 years old, made Big 12 All-Defensive Team as a freshman, and had the kind of wingspan and instincts that you genuinely cannot teach. NBA front offices were already clearing space on their lottery boards for him. Then February 2025 happened. He suffered a torn ACL and a torn meniscus on the same knee. And at the same time, his season ended instantly and his draft stock went with it. But here's where it gets interesting. Instead of disappearing, Quaintance transferred to Kentucky, came back, played 4 games, showed flashes of everything that made him a lottery prospect in the first place, and then the swelling came back and shut him down again. A guy who was a consensus top 10 pick 18 months earlier fell all the way to 20 on draft night.
So what I will tell you is that if he were healthy, he would have been a top 10 pick. One of the highest level athletes in the draft, a true defensive savant.
And the Spurs were sitting right there waiting. Wright basically admitted on camera that if Quaintance stayed healthy, there was zero chance he would have been drafted at 20.
He's got tremendous talent. And unfortunately, that was cut short a little bit due to injury. But you know, had it not been, maybe we don't have the opportunity to draft.
And honestly, the Spurs didn't even try to hide how happy they were about it. They knew they were getting a top 10 rim protector for a huge discount, and they grabbed him before anyone could think twice. But they were not done either, because they turned right back around and traded up to grab Terrace Reed Jr. at 26, a 6'11" UConn center, fresh off tearing through March Madness. San Antonio locked down 2 premium front court pieces while the rest of the league just watched him do it. And then the surgery news dropped. Jaden needed surgery on the same knee with a 6-month recovery timeline, meaning there's a massive chance he misses his entire rookie season, which is genuinely painful when you realize what the Spurs drafted him to fix. But Wright had already thought about that too, because the most interesting move he made this offseason was not this frontcourt fix at all. There was a 20-year-old quietly spending the entire finals, making everyone forget the Aaron Fox existed, and that changes everything. So let's actually talk about Dylan Harper, because by the time Game 5 of the finals was over, there was one conversation happening in every single NBA group chat and podcast that week. And it wasn't about Wemby. It wasn't about Castle. It was about the 20-year-old coming off the bench who looked like the best player San Antonio had on the floor for a huge part of that series. Even Draymond Green couldn't hold in how good this guy really is.
Dylan Harper, wow, had no clue that he was this special. With his play, he takes this team from being in the pipeline to win a championship soon to like, the way he's playing, they could win a championship right now. I mean, he is unbelievable.
And the numbers back it up completely. When Harper shared the court with Wembanyama, the Spurs were outscoring the Knicks by 15.3 points per 100 possessions. 15.3 in the NBA Finals as a rookie coming off the bench. And defensively, every time Jalen Brunson or SGA had to go one-on-one with Harper, they looked genuinely uncomfortable in a way they didn't against anyone else on their roster. The guy was making all-stars work for everything.
Consistently as he has all season. Shaman tries to fight through another screen and Harper throws it down. Dylan Harper once again.
But here's the part that should genuinely concern every Spurs fan right now. The Aaron Fox has a 4-year, $229 million extension. He's not going anywhere this summer. And to be totally fair, for most of this season, he was not the problem. He was a necessity. Remember when Castle turned the ball over 20 times in the 2 games Fox missed against OKC? Yeah, the Spurs needed Fox to get to the finals, and we all know that. But the finals happened, and by the end of that series, it was pretty obvious to everyone watching that Harper was already the better player. His agency knows it, the league knows it, and the Spurs management definitely knows it. But if you think Dylan Harper was the only rookie out here making the other teams look stupid during this playoff run, you're completely forgetting about Carter Bryant. This kid is low-key the most slept-on story of the entire Spurs season, and the media is absolutely refusing to give him his flowers. San Antonio took him with the 14th pick, and he basically spent the regular season just doing cardio, averaging a quiet 4 points in 11 minutes a night. But the second the postseason started, Mitch Johnson threw the training wheels in the trash and started matching him up one-on-one against superstar scorers like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jalen Brunson. Bryant went out there and made their lives completely miserable, not by hunting his own buckets, but through pure defensive length, relentless effort, and the kind of high-level basketball IQ that rookies playing minimal minutes are simply not supposed to have. And then Game 4 of the Western Conference Finals happened. Johnson yells at him on national television for a bad play and sends him right back out. Then Bryant immediately responded by locking down the perimeter. Johnson explicitly stated after the game that Carter is as coachable as anyone he has ever had on a roster, which carries a ridiculous amount of weight when you realize Greg Popovich has been quietly whispering in that locker room all season that this kid is genuinely special. People love to ignore the fact that he shot 41% from the three-point range during the most high-stakes moments of the year. He did that as a 20-year-old rookie on a squad that literally just fought its way to the NBA Finals, which tells you everything you need to know about how terrifying his development is gonna be when his role gets massively expanded next season. So, how do you actually solve a problem where your 20-year-old backup guard is outplaying your $229 million franchise star during the finals? You do not destroy team chemistry by benching Fox. You definitely do not stunt Dylan Harper or Carter Bryant by forcing them to wait their turn. Something has to give. So the Spurs decided to change the entire system around them so the logjam does not even matter. They went out and signed Tobias Harris to a clean 2-year, $31 million deal. And yeah, I already know what you want to say next. You probably want to talk about his infamous max contract in Philadelphia or the fact that he's 32 years old. I mean, sure, they're both valid. But if you actually understand basketball, this signing is a complete steal. You have to realize that against the Knicks, the Spurs were getting completely bullied on the glass whenever Wemby rotated to contest shots at the rim, because they had zero physical size at the power forward spot to clean up the mess. That's where Tobias comes in. He's a physical 6'8" forward who can crash the glass, hold his own against strong wings, and give you an easy 15 points a night without needing 20 isolation touches to get going. That's specifically the player you go find when your team just lost the finals, partly because nobody knew how to hold things together when Wemby was not on the court. But fixing the on-court spacing was only half the battle, because adding a vet like Tobias does not automatically stop the explosive young core of Harper and Castle from being selfish and hunting for their own shots, especially with Fox trying to defend his alpha status. The Spurs knew they needed to inject some serious adult supervision into that locker room before the egos started clashing over touches, and that's where they pulled off a quick double move. They locked down Harrison Barnes on a 1-year, $8 million contract and Julian Champagnie for 3 years for $45 million, which honestly is one of the smartest moves, because letting him walk after he set a Spurs franchise record with 195 made threes last season would have been a disaster. The guy was everywhere in that finals run, and they weren't about to find out what this offense looks like without him. And the move that nobody's giving enough credit for is how the Spurs convinced Billy Donovan to walk away from a literal head coaching gig and come in as the lead assistant coach under Mitch Johnson. The man had spent 6 years as a head coach in Chicago, had been in these exact pressure situations before, and he definitely knows how to manage rotations, minutes, and egos when everything was on the line. And now zoom all the way out and look at what this roster actually is, and you see how terrifying this is for the rest of the NBA. Victor Wembanyama, Dylan Harper, Carter Bryant, and Stephon Castle are making less than $50 million combined right now because they're all tied to their rookie scale deals. That means the Spurs have 4 potential All-NBA talents playing for absolute pennies, while the front office retains all the flexibility in the world to surround them with veteran depth, championship coaching, and elite shooting. The gap between them and the championship in June was 12 points. So what exactly is that gap right now? Because the Spurs just spent their whole summer building a squad that's about to make the rest of the league miserable for the next decade.